Hey guys, Baily Hancock here. Welcome back. Today we have another fellow boss lady friend of mine, Jamilah Lang. Jamilah is the founder and creative director of Chic Work Chick, which I'll let her tell you all about what that is. But moral of the story, by the end of this podcast, you're going to want to be following it on all of the social channels because it is great. And I'm super excited because I don't know what Jamilah has cooking for her business in the next 6 months. So this will be a surprise for me too. But first and foremost, I'm excited to hear how she ended up where she is today, because that story is always fascinating to me. And yeah, get the lowdown on what is coming down the pipeline. So welcome, Jamilah.
Hi, Bailey. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. I met Jamilah about a year ago now at Boss Ladies, which I reference this a lot, so I'll put it in the show notes. But essentially, it's a community of female entrepreneurs. And when I met Jamilah, I remember her saying, yeah, I'm launching this chunky sweater bodysuit. I'm launching a fashion line. And in my mind, I was like, oh, so this is what she does. You know, she's been at this for a while. She's a fashion designer. Cool. And it wasn't until a couple months later that I found out that this was a brand new venture. And, 6 months earlier, she was doing something totally different. And I was blown away because to watch her progress in the last year has been nothing short of inspirational. So yeah, I knew I had to have Jamilah on because she is getting shit done and quickly, but in a very thoughtful and strategic way. So lay it on us.
Thank you.
How did this all start? I guess start at the beginning. What did you go to school for? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was always a creative person growing up. I was always drawing, sketching, creating things, making things. I love being creative, but I didn't really see a career path in that at the time. It was pretty much you go to college, you get a regular job, a regular good
real job.
Fluffy designer stuff, or so I was like, maybe I want to be a painter. I didn't really know.
Yeah.
But I love communication, so I got my degree in communications in 2007.
And for those of you watching this, I'm drinking out of my lucky 07 coffee mug that I got when I graduated college. I remember thinking man, people are going to know I'm only 23. They're going to know I'm so young. And
yes.
That was 11 years ago.
I know. It's so crazy now. And I thought the same thing on my resume. They're going to know I just graduated from college. But I started my career kind of in a community event planning in a nonprofit. Eventually, I landed a really great job with a very notable Fortune 100 company doing community relations, government relations. Working in the environment, which was quite amazing for me to be so young. I was 25 years old, and kind of my first big corporate job. I put my all into it. I rose the ranks really high. I was getting paid a decent salary, and I thought this is so amazing. And then a shift came maybe about 3 years ago where it started to get in very mundane, and I started to lose focus and wanted more and wanted to be more in a creative space. I think a lot of it came because I switched positions. I kind of got a promotion, and that promotion kind of limited me as what I can do before. Whereas before I can be creative, I can kind of do my own thing. This was very stifling. I felt stuck, and what
a nice reward for doing a good job.
Reward, and I just felt life sucking out of me very slowly, but I didn't notice it. And I don't want to use the word depressed, but it was almost like a depression at work.
Probably a funk.
Like a funk. And I was just oh my gosh, I didn't want to do this. So even 2 years prior to me leaving my job, I wanted to leave my job. I just felt I didn't have an exit. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a way out. I couldn't see anything. I didn't know what to do. I was I work another job in communications, which I didn't want to do, try to move to another position, which I didn't want to do, and I just started, being so this is even before I said, this is what I'm going to do to start designing. This is way before that. And I remember just being sad and telling my husband oh, I don't want to work here. And he's look for another job. But that didn't feel right either. It was just
right. When you don't know, that whole job search process is even worse than when you do know.
It was. And I was applying to stuff. I even got interviews, and I was still I don't want to do this,
What was it about it that didn't make you want to continue down that path?
I think for me, just not being creative and knowing that I'm a creative soul. And now during this process, I realized how important that is to me. I didn't realize that before. I didn't realize I need to be in a creative space. I need to be, creating things that never existed. I need to be helping other people. I need to be around like-minded people. And the corporate life, although is very fascinating and, people say, oh, that's so amazing. You work for this company. How awesome is that? It just wasn't for me, and I knew it. And what I enjoyed doing was outside of work.
I was going to say, did you have a side hobby that was kind of fulfilling that need?
I did. I would do like a lot of event planning. I would do organization for people's houses. I was always doing something else besides that gave me joy.
Yeah.
I was separate from work. Again, I didn't put the two together as far as how I can make money off of this.
That's pretty normal though. People think, oh, well, if I like it, then it can't be a job.
It can't be a job, right? 'Cause it should be something that you kind of don't like, but you get paid to do it.
Right, which is so terrible.
Right, I know. I really had to change my whole mindset. So it wasn't until, again, I have been trying to think about, how to leave my job. It wasn't until this opportunity came from one of our clients who said, and I worked with them for many years, about 4 years. And they're saying, Jamilah, we love you working for us as our consultant liaison to the company, but we don't like the company you're working for.
Oh.
What do you think about coming to work for us independently and, just separately from this company? And a light bulb went off oh, that's my moment. I can leave my job and I can be like an independent consultant and I can, everything just started fireworks, because I didn't have a way out. And although this still was in the same line of work that I was doing before, it just gave me a way out, but plus it was on my own terms and to do what I wanted to do. So although I wasn't necessarily passionate about it, it was a way out. So
it was a step.
It was a step in the right direction.
Sometimes that's all you need.
And sometimes that's all you need. So of course I'm smart. So I came home to my husband. I got it all figured out. The rest of the world is amazing. He's like, that's one client. And then what happens after that? And I'm like,
stupid husbands.
Husbands, they're always
they're these reality people.
They're always killing dreams.
We love you.
I love you though.
Dream killer.
I know, dream killer. Yeah. So but I was just I really had to tell him, trust me, I'll figure it out. Because at this time, I think I know everything. I will figure it out. I would get another client and bada boom, bada boom. So this happened. So within 6 weeks, I had decided to sign on to this new client, leave my job. I was plotting my escape before I let them know, you know what I mean? Getting all my things in order. And I was trying to figure out how I can do it financially and whatnot. And so luckily my husband said, okay, because I really convinced him, me, I will make this work. You know how hard I work. Convinced me that I can do it. And I did. So I left, big, huge leap, left my job. And people, and one thing I want to say, people always say, just leave your job, just go for it. No, it's not that easy.
No, that's a bad piece of advice.
Yes. No, don't just go for it.
Don't leap and hope the net will appear. What if you just splat on the concrete? That's not good. Makes a great refrigerator magnet. Terrible advice.
Yes, exactly. And it looks good on a t-shirt, but in reality, it's you need to have some type of plan in order, an escape route, always.
And at this point, do you have your children yet?
I have my one son.
So you can't just go making stupid.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too. I had my son, we live downtown LA, it's expensive. He was in this expensive school. We had bills crazy. I had student loans. So it wasn't realistic for me for some people who live at home, and, don't have rent to pay. And, I ran into that a lot too, as my journey goes on. They're like, well, right now I'm just living at home, working for myself. I'm like, yeah, that's nice. I have a kid and husband, so that's not feasible for me. So, so even with that said, so even though I still had a plan, quote unquote, it still necessarily didn't work out as I planned, but at least it gave me a start. It kind of gave me a start. the journey. So I was
It
doing.
gave you that confidence to
It
take
gave me
that
that
step.
confidence, and it gave me I said the idea is what sparked everything that,
Mm.
oh, I can make this work and it's possible. So I ended up leaving I ended up leaving my company, and I had, just like I said, I just literally had one client, and luckily the one client came into two clients, and, in between there,
And what were you doing for these clients? What was your consulting?
yeah, doing like environmental consulting. I did a lot with environmental programs. So I helped cities and governments, like I did with the city of Santa Monica, city of Torrance. We did various environmental programs, helping them out with their waste contracts, because that's what I did before, to
Sexy.
having them, I know, save, all about trash and recycling. I was like an expert, but I was able to help them navigate the contracts with different private haulers, waste haulers, because I understood all the language and I knew where the loopholes were, and they liked that. I'm saying, oh yeah, they owe you guys $5,000 because they missed this diversion mark. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we like her now. So
keep her around.
exactly. So, and like, again, I didn't even have a business plan. Like, I didn't have cards made. I didn't have a name for the company. I was just like kind of freestyling it. Again, like, this was just, I don't recommend this. This was just, like I said, a way for me to get out of my job. So like, again, so even though I was doing essentially the same thing, I just felt so much more, excitement about it. And it was, like I said, it was on my own terms. And yes, it was scary, but it was on my own terms. So with that being said, eventually my one client came into two, and two clients came into zero. And then it was like, oh, okay. So this is like my first month, like no paycheck. And we were a 2-income house family. So the financial struggles hit us immediately after I received the last paycheck. It was like immediate. It was like, oh, okay. You're used to getting this much money and you're not. So I just really had to be creative. So again, I went back to what I like doing. When I'm my son's classmate's mom was like, oh, I need help organizing my house. And I'm like, oh, you can pay me to do it. I would just find like random, jobs. I did some like stuff on photo shoots, helping out with just anything to keep me creative, but also need work, in the interim, until I found like another client. And then I'll get like another client, and that's how I've been doing it. But besides that, I had a moment where I said, okay, what do I really want to do? And I said, I would love to design women's clothing. I mean, that was like my goal, but I was
Where did that come from?
It's just a long time thought that I had for a long time, just my experience working in corporate America and the lack of modern corporate wear that was available. It was like either like you're wearing a pantsuit, or it's just like a little boring. You're just wearing gray. I mean, it just wasn't appealing. It wasn't feminine to me. It didn't give us a lot of options. And for me, when I first got my first corporate job, I'm like, oh, I'm going to Banana Republic because and Taylor, because this is serious. I'm telling my husband, this is serious now. I have like a real job. I need to get like real clothes.
Mine was Express and the Limited.
Yeah, like we're like, this is legit now.
I had so many pencil skirts, I can't even tell you.
Exactly, like pencil skirts of the woohoo.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they weren't like length appropriate. They were too tight.
Oh, I'm 5 feet tall and have like no torso or no legs, so everything's just too big on me, and it looks like a kid dressing up in her mom's clothes.
Yeah, so you're just walking around the office like.
It was bad. I looked like a child.
Yeah, so the challenges were there. I had the challenges. I'm very curvy, so my challenge was like things look too tight on me and too sexy, and I didn't want to have that.
You're being so sexy, Jamilah.
Yeah, like I'm wearing a pencil skirt and my ass is like, there it is. And I just felt like, I know I can design something better because, not only am I a client, but I'm also, I have the design, creative thoughts and everything like that. So, but again, I didn't know how to proceed. It was like at the same moment.
I was going to say, how do you figure out, I
don't have the education. So what I started doing, I'm like, I need to freaking go back to school. And I was like, oh, I do not want to go back to school. Like, at the time I'm like, I'm 32. I don't know if I was 31. I'm like, I don't feel like doing this again. Yeah. I just spent all this other time in school. And I really thought like I need to go to school. I need to learn how to sew like properly. I knew how to sew, but I mean, like for real, I need to do pattern making. Like I thought that this was the route that I had to take, not knowing. So again, I had the idea, I had the concept, I had the social media following. So I thought like, oh, but I never took a step to move forward. It's just that it was there. So then it wasn't until like I came to Boss Ladies in March, one, being surrounded by other creative women who were pursuing, although different things, but had the same passion, drive, focus, issues, problems, and everyone kind of collaborating and helping each other really changed it for me as far as me taking the step to say, okay, yes, I can do this. So when like, I know it was like a short process from like March literally until June to when I created my first product and put it out to everyone. I mean, that's how fast it was.
It was crazy, you guys. I literally met her in March. I took off April and May because I got married. And then I come back in June and this chick has like a whole freaking Kickstarter and a real product. And I'm like, whoa, that was fast.
It was super fast. And
so how did that happen? You obviously didn't go back to school. So how did you get around that?
I didn't go back to school. It was just kind of things in place. Remember, but again, I would say I had the idea and I had the concept already. So that kind of helped me. But then it led me to meeting one person who said, oh, you should talk to this person, go talk to this person. I ended up meeting like this knitwear expert phenom who does stuff for Ralph Lauren and Donna Karan and, is amazing. Was like, I want to work with you. Like she said, I only work with 4 people a year, but you're going to be my 5th. And like,
wow.
Because she loved my idea. I have this idea for a chunky sweater bodysuit. And she was like, it's just phenomenal. And
let me map that out, what that is for you guys, because I did not understand it when I first heard it. And then I tried it on. It's literally a bodysuit. So it like sucks everything in on the bottom. And then on the top from your waist up, it's a really cute, chunky sweater. So you can actually like make it look like it's tucked into a pencil skirt or pants while it's sucking everything in the right places. And it looks so chic and so good. I was so impressed with it when I tried it on. I was like, damn, Jamilah, I want 5 of these. Let's do this. So that's what a chunky sweater bodysuit is for those of you trying to wrap your heads around that.
Yeah, like what? I know the name is crazy.
It's a lot of words.
Yeah, but I had the concept too, just because of my issues trying to tuck in sweaters and my skirts and my pants and everything is so bulky. And I'm like,
it's so simple. It's so ingenious.
And, I love it.
So you think having that idea ready to go was what helped you kind of skip the learning process a bit?
I think so. I think one, having that idea and ready to go and knowing that, but 2, meeting the right people. And people that say, oh, I just met some right people. I mean, that's hard too. So don't get me wrong. Like,
yeah, how did you start getting introduced to the right people?
Right. Well, I met Angela from Boss Lady. She told me about this one manufacturer company in Los Angeles that she had considered. She didn't work with them, but she liked it. It was female owned. So I might consider, talking to them. So then when I met with the owner of the company, and she said, oh, well, my aunt is this famous knitwear designer. She's like, you need to talk to her if you want to do a knit. And that's how, I was introduced to this knitwear designer. So I didn't have to learn how to knit because I had someone.
You had a person.
To knit. So that's how the connections were made. It was made through Boss Ladies, to meeting other people, through networking. So when people say like, oh, you need to go make connections, this is how you make connections. You get out, you network, you let people know what you're working on. And
you have to be clear about what you are working on and what you need from people.
Right, exactly.
It's so important.
It leads you to where you need to be. But my other biggest challenge was funding. Again, I'm just looking for clients and just to pay my rent. This has nothing to do with funding a business. And I realized that I would need about like $15,000 in order to make this happen. And so it was just like, I don't have $15,000 nor do I have people to get it from. And I had a little bit in savings, but I another thing too, I would like go to different conferences and they'll say, yeah, I got a small loan from my parents of $20,000 or all these investors to invest in me. And I'm always like, who are these people? Like,
I need richer friends.
Right. I'm like, I'm in the wrong circle,
Don't feel bad. I think that all the time. I'm like, damn it, parents, why weren't you independently wealthy?
I'm like, I'm loaning my mom money.
Right.
No one I can get, because we was like, maybe you should ask your parents for a small loan. I'm like, no, that's not for me. But it was completely self-funded, and another thing too, I didn't fund it all at once. So every month I would work, I would save, I would do extra stuff on the side. I use money for my savings, for my credit card, in order to fund this. Because if you look at the number of 15,000, like, oh, that's so huge, But if you break it down for each month, it's like $5,000. Like, okay, I could take 5,000 from savings, 5,000 from a credit card, and 5,000 if I do keep working, do some more stuff, get another client. So that's how it was funded. So I completely self-funded. Yeah, it was doable. I think too, because when I first did the number, I'm like, well, there's no way I'm gonna get all this money.
But isn't that the way everything goes? At first glance, it looks insurmountable and massive. And then when you really start breaking it down, it's just a series of smaller pieces.
Yeah, no, really. And that's where you have to do it too, because everything can become very overwhelming. I mean, like, have you ever listed out all your bills? You're like, whoa, oh yeah, I forgot that little, my gym bill. You forget, you're like, whoa, this is a lot. You know what I mean? But it's taken out in increments throughout the month. So
right. It's kind of a different situation.
Yeah, it's a different situation.
That's to go back to, like, this is what the whole podcast is about, right? The 1-year career, make big moves with small steps. A big move for you was figuring out how to fund this, and you just made it happen. You took actionable steps. You figured out where you could pull money from, where you could borrow it from, like where you could make it. And then lo and behold, there you go.
Yeah. So then no, you're exactly right. And that's why I want people to know too, that, you may not have the funding, you may not have all the resources that you need, you know what I mean? But still kind of move forward, especially if you feel like your idea is worth sharing with the world. Especially if you feel like, this can really be something, and talk to your friends and ask them, like, what do you think about this idea? And that's another thing I thought I did prior. I was asking everyone anywhere, at the nail shop, my hairdresser, they're like, oh my gosh, I love that idea. You know what I mean? And so on and so on. So, yeah, fast forward to my Kickstarter, which was June of last year. Again, everything happened so fast. It's so insane. I don't even know,
So did you end up getting the $15K on your own, and then the Kickstarter was a different amount of money that you needed?
Yeah, the Kickstarter was the amount of money I needed to, in order to mass produce the sweaters.
Gotcha. So what was that first $15,000 for?
Just for my samples, to get my samples made, to help with the Kickstarter, to help with website and graphic design, getting my logo, just to kind of get it started, to
get your prototype together.
Get my prototypes together, because the samples were very expensive, because I had to source all the materials.
Well, and it's a new concept too, right?
New concept, and and that's what took so long to make I had to make the transition between the sweater and the bodysuit portion completely seamless. Yeah. And I wanted everything to be perfect. And then we're trying to use environmental friendly dyes to get the color to match with the pink, because the pink was so difficult, but I wanted that pink color so bad. So I'm like,
it's a great pink color.
It's so fabulous. It's like the perfect tone of pink. And just all that, so all that took time, and all that took money. So that's where the $15,000 were from. So I needed, when I launched my Kickstarter, I needed $40,000 to do a production run. And again, so prior to my Kickstarter, I did so much research. I read so many books. I had everything in place. It totally consumed my life for 2 months, even prior, to making this happen. So in addition to making the sweater, getting all that, going to meetings, I was doing my research on Kickstarter, how to make it successful. Again, like I said, I read 3 different books, in a 1-week period. But I wanted to say something too about, if we can go back for a second.
This is your party. Let's go.
Woohoo! Is that, so after I left my job, 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant with my second son. And I had the worst pregnancy, where I was when I had those pregnancy, my first pregnancy was amazing, no issues. I worked literally up until I gave birth. I worked until the 19th. I gave birth on July 20th with my first son. And this one just left me, I forgot the name of it, but extremely fatigued. We're like, I literally could barely get out of bed and like wash my face.
Oh.
It was like some type of like something had came over me, you know, and I couldn't eat. It was like,
how long did that last? The whole time?
almost the whole time. Maybe about like, almost the whole time on and off. And I had a 2-year-old too at the time.
Oh God.
So it was like,
I'm tired just hearing this.
I know. So when I launched this Kickstarter, I mean, when I came with the idea, my second son was only like 9 months old too. So this was all going on at the same time.
Your life is going to feel so easy in like 5 years. You're going to be like, if I could do all that, I can do anything.
That's my goal. My goal this year is easy.
Yeah.
Wow. So I did all the research for Kickstarter. I had everything. I had a good social media following. At the time, I had like around 50,000 followers.
So yeah, we haven't talked about Chic Work Chick and when that showed up.
Mm-hmm. So Chic Work Chick, really it started as an Instagram page. I used to post pictures of my outfits. It was like,
so how long has that been going on?
That had been already going on for like 2 years prior.
How funny. Did that even clue you in at all to what you might end up be doing?
No. Again, like I couldn't make the connection.
It's like all of these flashing signs and you're like,
like, Jamilah, people want to see what you got. Like people are curious. People like your aesthetic. People like what you're posting. I didn't see that. And you know, and I had 50,000 followers, and it was like, oh, okay.
Which is nothing to sneeze at. Also,
nothing.
For a side thing that you're not even looking at as like a revenue stream. That's incredible.
Well, I was getting some sponsored posts, and I didn't realize I was getting sponsored posts until someone hit me up to say, how much do you charge for a post? And literally I said $50. And they're like, okay, give me 3. And I'm like, oh, like I didn't know. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, and somebody was like, no, that's too low. You should be charging more. So then I started charging like $125 for each sponsored post. And then like, if you wanted the link in my bio, I charge you extra 50. Like,
how did you even know how to do that? You just kind of asked around or just figured it out?
I just made it up. Yeah. I mean, like someone said you need to be charging more than 50. Actually, it was Elizabeth from Boss Lady said, you need to be charging more than $50. Like,
I mean, I don't know anything about it, but 50 seems low to me. Yeah, it's funny. It's one of those things. I think people forget how much we make up as we go, both in your career and personally. Like we're all just figuring this stuff out as we go. And there, you know, for a lot of this stuff, like social media, this is less than a 10-year-old industry, really. Like just now around about now 10 years where it's been a business thing. Mm-hmm. So we've been making up a whole new industry as we go this whole time. So I'm always fascinated by like, how did you know? Oh yeah, I made it up. That's usually the answer.
I just made it up. I didn't let them know that I didn't know.
No, fake it till you make it is real.
So, and so that helped out too with additional, revenue income. That definitely helped supported my Kickstarter efforts. I was trying to, I got to a point where I was doing so many sponsored posts that I had to slow down because it started becoming spammy.
Sure. It wasn't your stuff anymore.
Yeah. You have to be strategic. So you have to kind of, you know, no, but I did so many in May because I was trying to get as much money as I can before June. But yeah, so.
Well, and that's such an easy little revenue stream, right?
It is. It was very easy, and you know,
makes you mad at all the times you work your ass off for low money, and then there are those times where you're like, I did almost nothing, and they paid me more than I've ever made before.
You took 4 minutes out of my life. And, you know, because once I realized it was a revenue stream, then I started hitting up brands up and I started working with smaller brands and stuff like that too, which was really great because I like promoting them and they were a smaller brand. And,
and whether you realized it at the time, you're building this incredible network of people in the fashion industry that like, I'm sure if they haven't already come in handy, they will.
Yeah, they will. And another thing too, what I didn't realize, like people really focus on the numbers for social media. Like even like this one company like sent me like a threatening email saying like, and mind you, I don't even have a brand or anything yet. And they're like already scared of me. They're like, oh, you're using this term and this term is our term. I'm like, I don't even have anything.
What are you talking about? What are you going to sue me for?
You guys are nervous.
Yeah, that's good though. That's a good sign that you're onto something.
I know. So I was like, maybe I'm onto something. But yeah, so everything kind of just came together. So when I launched my Kickstarter in June, I launched it with such high hopes. I mean, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a genius. I need to sell so many sweaters and everything. My first week went amazing. I forgot. I think we hit like 10%. We hit like $4,000. But they say, oh, if you hit 10% the first week, mind you, from all the books I read, you have like an 85% chance of being successful. And it pretty much went stagnant from there. Nothing happened. Nothing. And I would get maybe one sale a day, and it's like, oh, that's my friend, And what happened was, well, it was two things. I was launching a chunky sweater in the summer. And
that was unfortunate timing. And I like tried it on you guys in June or July. Yeah. And I was like, I love this, but I'm about to suffocate because it is so hot in LA.
It was like 104 degrees for a month straight. I mean, literally 100 degrees. And like everyone was emailing me like, it was two things that I think happened. One, I didn't educate my audience. Okay, so my Kickstarter was not successful. I had like 35 days to raise $40,000. I only raised about 10, but it wasn't successful. And the two reasons that it wasn't successful was, one, the weather played a huge part. It was like the hottest summer in the past 55 years.
Yeah.
I'm watching the news and they're saying, this is the hottest summer on record. I'm like,
and you're just a slow single here.
Trying to sell a sweater in the summer. And two, not educating my audience enough on the Kickstarter process. And being already assuming that they know what Kickstarter is, how it works. Because I would get so many emails about questions. Like even after the Kickstarter failed, people were emailing me like, so when do I get my sweater? And I'm like, oh no, it doesn't work like that. And that's when I realized like, I didn't really educate them on how Kickstarter works and how the process works and how it's a timeline. Like, you know what I mean? If someone will leave a comment and say, oh, I'll get it in the fall. I'll get it when it gets chillier.
You're like, no,
that doesn't work. You order now. And people are like, you order now, then you get it in 3 months? Like, how does that work? So,
I think that's something a lot of us make the mistake of doing is when we really know a lot about something, we assume other people do too. And it's just not the case.
And it's not the case. It's not the case at all. And although I had like great support and great social media following and,
like on paper, this should have worked.
On paper, it should have worked.
Which is how life goes, y'all.
And that's how life goes. So, it shows you can do everything right. You can do all your research and it still not work out. Yeah. So those are some lessons that I learned. And just like you said, like just because you're an expert on something doesn't mean that your audience is. Yeah. You have to educate them. What do you want them to know? And by the time I started educating them, it was already like maybe a week left. So it's a little too late. So, somebody said, if you have to do it over again, I would say, well, I would educate them earlier, even before our launch. I told them I'm going to do a Kickstarter, like, yay, okay, hey, but not saying what the Kickstarter is.
Right. And how that works.
Right.
I mean, I knew how Kickstarter worked, and there was still part of me at the end that was like, but can I still have a sweater?
Right. My friend was like, where's my sweater? I'm like, no. There's someone else emailed me like, did you charge my credit card? I'm like, no, it's not charged.
Yeah, that's the thing too. People don't realize with Kickstarter is like, you don't get charged till it goes through, but in their minds they got charged. Exactly. Even if, yeah.
Yeah, so I spent more time answering questions about Kickstarter than I did about the sweater.
So now you're an expert on all of the frequently asked questions.
On all those. So
you could write a Kickstarter book at this point.
Could, because that was the one thing that was missing in all the book. No one ever said you have to be timely. And no one ever said you need to educate your audience on Kickstarter. What they said is let them know 2 weeks prior that it's coming, but no one ever used the word educate them on what it is, how it works. So
makes sense.
Kickstarter experts are missing that part from your
Somebody
book.
write it.
With that being said, in a way, the Kickstarter, had I done the Kickstarter and had it been successful, it would have been great because I would have had my sweater made, but that's all I would have been able to do. It wasn't like the $40,000 was going to be create a business, create a company.
You have to keep doing this over
I would just have to keep doing this over and over. And that's when I realized some companies literally only do Kickstarter because that's the only revenue they have, because it gets you kind of trapped in a little cycle where you're like, okay, we've done Kickstarter. This is it. Now we have another product. We're going to have to do a Kickstarter again because we don't have revenue. We don't have any profits really from that. Because
you end up selling things for way less than they cost,
way less than
or at cost.
Yeah, exactly. Just to get the product made. So, so I don't, now I don't feel too bad about the Kickstarter. yes, it was a blow to my confidence and to what I thought I knew. But in the long run, it's like, what do I want? I want to have a long lasting company. I want to be able to create things on demand when I want. I want to be able to deliver products, and Kickstarter is not the route for that. So now that I know that, and I'm moving forward totally different now the second time around with my Chic Work Chick clothing line, my first collection, is being able to have a long lasting company from this afterwards. So it's not like, oh, here it is, and then there's nothing, to keep
Yeah.
going. So,
So what's that process been? Because I feel like, you kind of went into like a mini hibernation. You're like, okay, this happened. Got to learn from it. What am I going to do next? So it's been quite a few many months now. What's the plan for building this sustainable, long-lasting company?
yeah, well, right now I'm in the process of designing and creating my first workwear collection. It's a 7-piece collection that is all black and white,
Ooh.
minimal, chic, amazing.
Wait, is the chunky sweater bodysuit in there?
Kind of, sort of. I'm
Okay,
adding
a
that in,
version of it.
a version of it.
Okay,
So,
I'll take it.
thank you. But it's what I call minimal workwear staples that are modern. Like, so I'm creating workwear for the girl on the rise. So she can be the girl who just graduated. She can already be the CEO. She can go straight from her desk to dinner with her friends without changing. She can be in the boardroom very professional, then go out with her boyfriend at night. So that's what I'm trying to create right now. And that's my idea. That's the girl who I am marketing for. With that being said, creating something from scratch and a whole line rather than one piece is a lot of work. A lot of
So
work.
have you had to actually, I mean, because I know the first time you had a fleshed out concept, so you
Mhm.
didn't have, and you outsourced a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
What pieces were you missing for this version to come to light?
I mean, everything. And mind you, I've changed it 10 times to get down to the 7-piece because first I was like, I'm for sure. I want a dress. I want a pair of, I mean, it was just getting crazy. So I had to really flesh out all my ideas. And this actually cost me some money because a lot of money from, not mistakes, but I was having so many samples made because I was trying to figure out, what I wanted. And then I get the sample made and I try it on the fit model and I'm like, yeah, but it's not like special, like, they're like, what do you want? Glitter? I'm like, no, it has to be minimal.
Boardroom chic glitter.
Yeah, exactly. So I would get so many samples made. And mind you, all these samples are like $250 each.
Ooh.
Like, this is where learning to sew is going to come into play later.
Yeah, doing that piece yourself.
Pattern making. Yeah, but I was doing that. And then I finally had to take a moment last month to say, okay, what do I want? If I had to go in my closet and get dressed for work every single day and not think about anything, and that's when I said it's going to be all black and white. Because when you're having too many colors, it's just getting too confusing. If you have black and white pieces, it's so easy to get dressed. You can mix and match all the time and always be chic and always be ready. So then once I came up with the color scheme, removing all the other colors that I was trying to add into and prints and, all that stuff. Like I said, that cost me like $2,000 doing all that work, in which none of those samples probably see the light. Maybe one.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. But as
Nothing's for nothing.
yeah, for my first collection, it's 7 pieces. They're all fabulous. They all work together. Right now, my next step is creating the perfect white button down
For boobs.
for boobs
Thank you.
and for no gap.
The damn middle button gap.
Damn middle button gap. And
Every woman with a bust knows this struggle.
exactly. And it's all the time. And that was my thing too, going to all these stores. So like I would have a huge thing. So I get like a safety pin. I mean,
Right.
so I'm eliminating that. The darting is very feminine on this shirt. It's so fantastic. It's like the premium cotton, which is like wrinkle free. It's stretchy in the arm part, the upper arm. So I really
Can you make it so it doesn't have to be ironed?
yeah, that's my whole, I'm hoping
Ew.
straight from dryer on.
That's my life. If I
And
have to iron something, I'm never wearing it.
right. Well, my husband says, well, you don't have to iron because everything you wear is tight. I'm like, oh, that's true.
I don't think that sounds like a complaint.
I know. Oh my God, that is true. I don't.
No wrinkles. No room for wrinkles.
Easy. So, and that's what I'm working on right now. So that's going to be a process. Like I said, I'm hoping to launch next year, mid-June,
So 2018 June.
2018 June, maybe April, but I don't like, me, I like to work too fast. I'm learning patience.
I was going to say, what's different this time around?
This time I'm doing a lot more research before I'm putting anything out. I know there's like pressure already. Like a lot of my friends and just people on social media were pressuring me. So, like, when is the line coming out? What's happening? I felt pressure to hurry up and work and like to give it to them. But for me, this time I want to create something that is perfect and I want it to be right. And then I want to create buzz around it like a month before. So there's like, it's coming, but it's going to be on the right time. So, and then I need other things in place, that I'm working on behind the scenes. Like I have my website developer and working on my email list, growing that and doing things like that. So
all the unsexy pieces.
All the unsexy stuff, the business stuff.
This kind of project can't exist without those pieces.
It can't exist without those pieces. And everything's being manufactured right here in Los Angeles, downtown, which is exciting. And
I know, I think you from the beginning, something that's impressed me is you've had very high standards for who you work with, which I think it's easy to go the cheaper route and the quicker route and make it somewhere else and with people you can't speak to in person.
Right.
But, you've chosen to go this high level from the get-go, which I think will pay off overall.
I think so too. And when you know who your cutter is, who your sewer is, your seamstress, and you're there and literally, I live downtown Los Angeles as well, and I'm a walk away from where my manufacturer is,
That's pretty cool.
In and see everything, what's happening. So it's really fortunate. And I think too, a lot of designers are coming back to the United States to have their clothes produced because of that. If I need a change, immediately can make it happen right then and there. You know what I mean? Versus having it shipped overseas and they send it back and then it's going back and forth. That actually costs more time and money. So yes, you're getting a lower cost, but the changes, and you have to know about quality of fabrics and how that works. So for me, it's about quality over quantity. And I think that people will pay for that. And knowing that our manufacturer is, ethical, like, they have maternity leave, health insurance, and they're in an air conditioner office. I'm like, I don't even have air conditioning, like
me neither.
They're getting paid a living wage.
That's amazing.
And that's important to me. And I love that
and I think that kind of seeps into the outcome of the product too. Whether it's a vibe or whatever, when something's made with quality and with people that are earning a living wage and are actually happy in what they do, you got to feel like that's in the fabric, right?
Yeah. And I believe that. And that's what eventually I'm going to show. I want to show, through Instagram stories and things about what's going on behind the scenes. That's like my next step as well. Just so they know where their clothes are coming from. I think it's just how we're getting very conscious about where our food is coming from. Next is going to be clothes.
You're right.
And things like that. Cause it's important to know.
That's awesome. So if you had to give Jamilah at 25 some advice, what would you tell her?
I wish when I was 25, I wish that I would have been definitely more confident in myself, believe in yourself. Don't be a people pleaser. Cause I used to be, I've changed so much too. And I think for the better, I used to be a people pleaser. I used to even have books on my desk that made me look smart or like important that, if someone sees it, I'd never read
strategy.
Right. Like, oh, here's this book from Gandhi or whoever. It's just randomly on my desk. Not try, and two, don't try too hard not try too hard, but speak up. A lot of times, I would be in the boardroom and I wouldn't speak up and I was the smartest person there and they'll be saying these dumbass ideas. And I'm like, this is so dumb, but I'm in this room full of all white men. And what do I say at 25? I'm like, right. Oh, yeah, that's great. I think we should go for it. Knowing in my mind, I'm like, that's so dumb. That's never going to work. I wasn't bold enough to speak up because again, I'm 25, I'm Black, I'm a woman. I don't know, this is my first, corporate job. And, so I wish I would.
Intimidating as hell.
Exactly. So I would tell her, Jamilah, speak up. It'll be okay. You're right, but you may be wrong, but I think overall it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
That's just some good life lesson for all of us at any age is it's going to be okay.
It's gonna be.
This too shall pass. Nothing's forever, good or bad.
Yeah.
I think that's super important. Well, I continue to be impressed as hell by you, and I am first in line when this line comes out, whenever the hell that is. No pressure. Take your time, do it the way you want to do it. Put all that time and love and new knowledge you're gaining. I think that's a cool thing too, because, you know, worst case scenario, this doesn't end up being the thing you work on for the next 5 to 10 years, but you've just gained so much new knowledge that you had no idea about even 2 years ago. So that's really cool.
No, thank you so much. Thank you, Baily, for supporting me. You've been so awesome, and I'm so grateful to even call you my friend. And
Same.
you're
Thanks,
amazing.
Jamilah. And we'll be sure to link to everything in the show notes. And maybe by the time this airs, you'll have some more behind the scenes stuff to share. But definitely follow Chic Work Chick. It's a great Instagram handle if you are like me and you are fashion challenged and you don't know what's cool. I have no imagination when it comes to clothes. And so I love her handle because she does a lot of reposts of great outfits and women of all shapes and sizes, which is so helpful because, you know, I'm 5 feet tall and I'm not like this string bean, and I don't look like a lot of the women that I see wearing the clothes I want to wear. So it's nice to see you feature a lot of petite women on there, which I appreciate.
I do.
Yeah, I've found a lot of cool handles to follow through it, but it's good work inspiration. So
great work inspiration. And one of the reasons I started because a lot of these bloggers are wearing things like I can't wear that on a Wednesday. Like
no,
wearing backless dresses
right.
and they all look fabulous. I'm like, but yeah, we have real jobs.
Yeah,
we have
right.
to go to. So I felt like there wasn't a space for work women to go on Instagram, and that was another reason why I started as well. So
well, and I'm not. And what are you at follower wise now on it? Because you were at like 50K at the beginning of 2017.
Yeah, I think I'm at like 57,000 too,
Amazing.
and growing. It's all organic. I'm hoping to put a lot of effort next year. My goal is 60,000, but I'm going to actually start putting effort into growing it. You know,
In your free time.
in my free time.
And how old are your boys now?
4 and 1, 18 months, and they are wonderful. I have one little savage. The little one is a savage. He runs the show around here. And then my 4-year-old is just so extremely smart. Like, it's so amazing. So I'm very fortunate, very blessed. And my husband has been so incredibly amazing to really, I mean, he's not only supported us financially, but supported me through this process, supporting me through my Kickstarter. He's seen everything and has been there 100%. So I have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to be excited for. And I already have claimed that 2018 will be like the best year of my life. So
I'm with you on that. I think 2018 is going to be a very important year for a lot of people. And I'm so excited to be on like the cheering squad for every last one of you. So congrats in advance. No matter how it all shakes out, I'm proud of you. And I think it's going to be wonderful.
thank you, Baily. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamilah. Bye, guys.
Bye.